Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into ancient Egypt's golden age. We're talking about a 500-year period of just staggering power, wealth, and ambition. This is the epic story of the New Kingdom.
Seriously, take a second. Close your eyes. What do you see? Golden treasures, massive statues, pharaohs whose names are legendary. Well, chances are, whatever you just pictured, it all has one thing in common.
That's right, King Tut's incredible golden mask, the sprawling temple complexes at Karnak and Luxor, all those hidden tombs in the Valley of the Kings, the gigantic monuments of Ramesses the Great. Every single one of those comes from this one single explosive 500-year period in Egypt's 3,000-year history.
People also call this era the Egyptian Empire, and for a really good reason. This was Egypt at its absolute peak, richer, stronger, and bigger than it had ever been before. So let's get into it. Let's see how this empire was forged out of a crisis, how it went on to conquer the known world, and, well, how it all came crashing down.
You know, every great empire story needs a dramatic beginning, and the New Kingdom is definitely no exception. Our story starts not with glory, but with Egypt on its knees, a country divided and humbled, living under the heel of foreign invaders.
See, before the New Kingdom, Egypt was in what historians call the Second Intermediate Period. And that's just a fancy way of saying things were a mess. You had foreign rulers, the Hyksos, controlling the north, trade was a disaster, and Egyptian pride was at an all-time low. The New Kingdom was a complete 180, a total reversal of fortune, born out of a desperate war for freedom.
And the guy who lit the spark, that was Pharaoh Ahmose I. He didn't just kick the Hyksos out and reunite the country. He learned a really crucial lesson from the whole ordeal. The best defense is a good offense. He pushed Egypt's borders out, way into the Levant, creating a huge buffer zone. The goal? To make sure Egypt would never, ever be invaded again.
And you know what? This new, aggressive strategy worked. I mean, it really worked. It brought a level of security and a flood of wealth into Egypt that was just unprecedented. And that set the stage for some of the most famous and powerful rulers in all of human history to take the throne. The 18th dynasty was just a lineup of legends. You had Hatshepsut, one of history's most powerful female rulers, who was all about trade and building incredible monuments. She was followed by her stepson, Thutmose III, a military genius who was basically always on the march. And then came Amenhotep III, who ruled over an Egypt so dripping in gold it's almost hard for us to imagine.
And when we say Thutmose III was a military genius, that is not an exaggeration. People call him the Napoleon of Egypt. I mean, get this. Over 17 different campaigns, the guy captured 350 cities. He expanded the Egyptian empire to its absolute largest size, stretching all the way from Nubia in the south up to the Euphrates River in modern-day Syria. Just incredible.
Now, for centuries, the priests of the main state god, Amun I, had been getting incredibly rich and powerful. So powerful, they were almost rivals to the pharaoh himself. So when the next pharaoh came to the throne, he didn't just rock the boat, he declared war on the entire religious establishment. He created something called Atonism, this radical new belief that just tossed aside Egypt's whole family of gods in favor of one single deity, the Aten, the physical disk of the sun.
He changed his own name to Akhenaten, which means devoted to the Aten. He shut down the old temples, took all their money, and moved the entire capital to a brand new city he built out in the desert. Even the art changed, becoming this weirdly realistic, almost alien-looking style. For a society built on thousands of years of tradition, this was a massive shock to the system.
But here's the thing. While Akhenaten was totally consumed with his religious revolution at home, he kind of took his eye off the ball internationally, and this created a huge power vacuum on Egypt's northern border. A rising superpower, the Hittite Empire, was more than happy to step in and fill that void.
Okay, so after Akhenaten's wild reign ended, and after the very famous but pretty short rule of his son, Tutankhamun, a whole new dynasty of warrior pharaohs came to power. And they had two jobs: restore tradition at home and smack down the Hittite threat abroad. The stage was set for an epic clash of empires.
And the undisputed heavyweight champion of this era was Ramesses II, a guy you probably know as Ramesses the Great. He was a brilliant general, a builder on a scale that just boggles the mind, and maybe, just maybe, the greatest master of propaganda the ancient world ever saw.
I mean, his reign lasted for an incredible 66 years.
He fought the Hittites in one of the most famous battles of antiquity, he built the mind-blowing temples at Abu Simbel, and he signed the world's first surviving international peace treaty. Oh, and on top of all that, he somehow found the time to father more than 100 children.
His defining military moment was the Battle of Kadesh. Ramesses walked his army right into the first recorded military ambush in history. It was a disaster, and his army was nearly wiped out. But he personally led this desperate charge, holding the line just long enough for reinforcements to show up and fight the Hittites to a standstill. Realistically, it was a draw. But Ramesses went home and covered every temple wall with carvings of this glorious world-changing victory. He didn't just win the battle, he won the story, a true masterclass in political spin.
But the thing about peaks is, after you reach one, there's only one way to go. The power and glory of Ramesses the Great's reign was the high point. After that, the empire faced a perfect storm of new threats, coming from outside its borders and from within.
The last really powerful pharaoh of this whole era was a man named Ramesses III. Now, he wasn't actually related to Ramesses the Great, but he took the name to try and bring back some of that old glory. His entire reign was basically one desperate, non-stop fight to hold a crumbling empire together.
He was getting hit from two sides. From the outside, you had this mysterious wave of invaders called the Sea Peoples, who were just toppling empires all over the Mediterranean. Ramesses managed to beat them back. But internally, the constant war completely drained the treasury. This led to massive inflation and, get this, the first recorded labor strike in history, when the government couldn't afford to pay the guys building the royal tombs.
So the end didn't come with one big bang. It was more like a death by 1,000 cuts. You had endless defensive wars, a shattered economy, and some deep, deep rot on the inside. Ramesses III himself was actually assassinated in a harem conspiracy. The pharaohs who came after him were weak, they were ineffective, and power just started to slip right out of their hands.
By the time you get to the last pharaoh, Ramesses XI, the central government had pretty much collapsed. And hey, remember those powerful priests of Amun that Akhenaten tried to get rid of centuries before? Well, they were back, and they were more powerful than ever. The high priest of Amun basically ruled the south like a king, while a general controlled the north. The unified country, the very foundation of the new kingdom, was broken. The empire was over.
And that really brings us to our final question. This empire rose and fell 3,000 years ago, so why are we still so fascinated by it? Well, maybe it's because the new kingdom, with its art, its monumental architecture, and its larger-than-life rulers, created the very image of ancient Egypt that is still burned into our minds today, a timeless legacy of gold, gods, and glory.